Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong under the shade of a coolabah tree. He sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
Alright guys, I'm back and I had a shower, so I'm pretty now. And so I tried out the products anyways. First thing I did, I used the soap, so we're not going to get into too many details, but you know, I wash most of my body with all the soaps, rinse it off, try the next one, so on and so forth. And then with the towels, I just, I dried one side of my body with one towel and one side with the other towel to see how it went. And I've got some mixed feelings about some things here. Anyways, first of all, let's go over, actually the first one I used was the Cedar Summit Wilderness Wash is what they call it. Now, I like this product. It's got a normal screw-off lid. It's a small bottle. It's blue, so you can tell it's not to be drank in a hurry, you'd hope. It's not danger green or anything. It pours pretty thick. It doesn't come oozing out of there in a hurry. I gotta say, it lathers up pretty good. I initially tried about, a quarter-sized dollop. You at least want to start with twice that to get your full body done. Otherwise, you're just going to be going back to your soap. But anyway, and a quarter-sized dollop of soap, whether it's super concentrated or not, is really next to nothing. It smells pretty good. It's a soapy smell, kind of like a clinical soapy smell. It's not fragranced or anything like that. And it did the job, So this is a product that I would use again. I'd say it's pretty cool. But it didn't excel at anything in particular, other than it does seem like it's a concentrate, because I look at that bottle now and I hardly used any of it. Then we're going to move on to the MSR, the pack soap, and this is the larger bottle, of course. Things I liked about this soap was that it has just a little push-up tip for using, which is pretty nifty, and that it did what it was supposed to do. It lathered up, I would say, maybe a little better than the Wilderness Wash. But there were a couple things I didn't like about it. Number one, clear soap. It's not a huge problem, but you get your clear soap, you pour it on your wet hand. It's, how much have I got? No big deal. I mean, you've got plenty of soap in this bottle, but I thought they could have at least colored it. It's, same thing again, quarter-sized dollop. It didn't get the entire job done, but it did lather up pretty easy. It's not the thickness of dish soap, that's for sure. But it seemed nice enough. The one problem, other than the color that I had with this bottle, was the fact that it didn't smell particularly pleasant. Again, it was a soapy smell, but this one I just thought, I'm not 100% certain that I like that smell. And that's a minor gripe. I mean, some people are iffy about, how the soap smells, though, so I figured if I'm going to do a review on some soap, I might as well let you know how it smells. So again, it was a product that was passable. I'm just not that fussy about soap, so I would use the product again. The last one I wanted to get into was the Grand Trunk, the soap leaves. And the sticker on the front there came off in the shower, so no biggie there, sticker is not necessary for operation of soap. This product was interesting. There were a couple of things that I did and I didn't like about it. I gotta say that this soap smelled the best. Okay, this actually had a soapy smell, and it was a pleasant smell. So if you're about, maybe you're sensitive to smell, and I really am, in all honesty, I thought this smelled pretty good. You get a leaf out, you rub it in your hand, it instantly water soluble, it turns into goo, so it's kind of like having a bit of soap in your hand, you can run it over your body. It didn't lather up like a liquid, but if you use a hand soap, there's always a difference with that too. But it worked. You had that piece of soap there and you could run it over your body. I guess it really depends on just how soapy you think you need to be to get clean. But I like the product. Once it lathered up, it felt good, and we'll say creamy. I think that's an acceptable term for soap. So it was kind of nice. The one problem that I have with this product, which was a bit of a shame, is I had it on the shelf in the window, and I'm in the shower, and I go to open it up, and some water had gotten inside the container. And because it's so water soluble, I go in to pull out that first sheet, and it was a bit gummy, and I only wanted to use one sheet. I wanted to be fair, so I threw out the first one and I used the second one. But of course, if you're in the water and you're putting your hands in your soap and you pull your soap out, you do your thing, you close it up, you can come back later and your soap's going to be goo. It's not going to stop you using it by any stretch of the imagination, and again, there's 40 leaves in here, but I think that the container itself, probably a good idea if it was waterproof. Next we're going to move on to the towels. And the first one I tried on one side of my body was the RIT, the little camp towel there, the little green one. It's got a little clip, you scrunch it back up in the pouch. I like this product purely because it's so small, you know, and a bigger towel isn't going to weigh much more. It's not going to take up much space. But when you've got a pack that you want to keep minimized rather than just lugging around a bunch of stuff, you want to fight for every inch you've got. Now, I have to say that I like the product. I think the money for it is spot on. I can see the versatility because, again, I feel that it's a better product than just a normal bandana. It is more absorbent than a bandana. At first, I got to say, it was kind of like if you've ever had a laundry day and you're out of towels and you try drying yourself off with a t-shirt or something like that, and it's just a miserable wet experience. You know, I got to dry on my arm and it got instantly dry and over the hair and whatever else, and you know, I'm halfway through the job and I notice that this thing's pretty wet. So I wring it out and it's pretty much bone dry again and I go ahead. So I had to wring this product out a couple of times, but it worked really, really well. You know, I don't know why you would be in a hurry to dry yourself. You know, maybe you're having a survival shower and you're on the run. But I think for the versatility, the packaging, and the thought that's gone into this product, I got to say that it's a really good product, and this will certainly be going in my pack as my towel solution and as a handy rag to have rather than just a bandana. And with the size of it, although it has this little lace fold on the edges, you know, you could use that in just about any way you could use a bandana, although it is a bit smaller than some of the bandanas I tend to use. And last but not least, we have the whatever brand it is, ShamWow. Here we go. It's a Scotch-Brite brand ShamWow knockoff, and I actually thought, since the ShamWow wasn't, you know, it was an online, on TV kind of product, that this product would have to be superior. I gotta say, it's super absorbent. It really is. I didn't have to wring it out. I didn't bother. I just did what I needed to do with it. It's a large, easily manageable towel, and that was a nice thing because it's thick, it stays in your hand, and you can just get the job done. I thought it was a great product for drying yourself off or drying anything that you might have with you. And I imagine if you took the time to fold it up, it could get pretty small. Here's my one problem with this product, because it did everything I needed it to do. It's really the right answer to this kind of thing. The second it got wet, it smelt like I rolled in something. In all honesty, you know, it's a horrible smell. It smells like a nasty, wet dish sponge. It's been sitting there for a couple of weeks. I think as far as the rags go, I'm going to go with the little green guy here from RIT Products. And as far as the soaps go, you know, just not that super particular. I think as far as the soap leaves go, I'd like to see them in another container because I really liked how the product worked. I think it performed just great, but that container letting the water get in there is turning into mush, unfortunately. The MSR soap will do the job, but I have to say between the two liquid soaps, you know, and it is kind of unfair to put the Grand Trunk soap up against two liquid soaps because it's not apples and oranges. But I think the Sea to Summit Super Concentrated Wilderness Wash is the soap that I prefer over the MSR product purely because it smelt better. I used less of it purely. It flows a lot slower. It's a smaller container, and you know, I think that's just my preference at this point in time. But again, soap is soap. So guys, that's about it. You know, I just thought, like I said, I've got the gathering coming up next week. I had to pick up a couple of hygiene products. And I saw some interesting concepts that were on the market, so I wanted to test them out. I might come back to it sometime. I might do a larger towel, you know, one that's purposely made for drying you off. I might try some different other options for soap, you know, get into the Coleman camp soaps and whatever else, and tell you exactly what I think. So, again, this isn't a survival instruction video. You're not going to learn to save your life with this, but I figured if you're out there looking to put some goodies in your bag and getting some of the necessities that you might need, having the more information on hand can help you make a decision. Because I think we've all been there. You'll stare at that shelf and just and try to guess what you want. But you know my take on it. Please leave me any feedback, or if you've got any questions, concerns, whatever it might be, or even if you've seen a product that I can get my hands on without costing me a fortune that you'd like to see a review on. Even if you have advice as far as soap and towels go, please do let me know. So, once again, it's been really nice having you guys watch this video. My name is Shane, and I'm with the Backyard Bushman channel, and I do hope to see you tuning in next time. You guys have a great day.
You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.